Many affordable electric cars came out in the European market last year. Today we are going to look at the best ones that you can buy in 2021. Let's go! The criteria I use to select the cars. The car has to have at least 300 kilometers of rated range. As I'm located in Europe, I am using WLTP cycle. The car must be also available to order in Germany, and the base price must be less than 35,000 euro. Finally, the car must have CCS fast charging capability, as CCS has become the fast charging standard in Europe. I should also talk about the incentives in Germany. The manufacturer's incentive in Germany is 3,000 euro. On top of that, you get 6,000 euro from the government. And if your car is capable of making pedestrian warning noise, then you get 1,000 euro more. In total, you can deduct 10,000 euro from the price. The first car I have is Fiat 500e Hatchback 42 kilowatt hour. It's a beautifully designed car. It starts from 26,000 euro. The battery size is 42 kilowatt hour. If you are coming from a combustion engine car, if you are not familiar with EV terminologies like battery size, you can think of the battery size as the size of your fuel tank. The bigger the size of your fuel tank is, the more energy it can store. It has excellent DC fast charging speed. It's 85 kilowatt peak speed. It also has very good AC charging speed, 11 kilowatt. The rated range is 320 kilometers. As with the combustion engine cars, you rarely get the rated range in the real-world driving conditions. I pulled these real-world range numbers from evdatabase.org. The real-world winter range for this car is 175 kilometers on the highways, 222 kilometers of winter range in the city. This is the worst case scenario for an electric car. In the summer, you would get a bit more. For this car, you would get 225 kilometers on the highway and 340 kilometers in the city. The pros of this car: it's a very compact car, it's very easy to park, so it's a great car to use in the city. It has great turning circle. It has very good DC fast charging speed. It has very good AC charging speed, great infotainment system, and a very important EV feature, it shows battery percentage clearly. Showing battery percentage is very important, in my opinion, because it's very hard to estimate the range in an EV. So if the car is showing you X kilometers, it might not go X kilometers. It might change depending on the elevation, the temperature, the speed at which you are driving. So it is better to show the battery percentage so that you can decide when to charge. Let's say when you are using a mobile phone, we say, okay, my phone has now 20% charge, so I should recharge my phone. In my opinion, that is a much easier and intuitive way to manage charging. In a nutshell, it's a great city car and it has a very good range for a city car. The cons of this car, I cannot really think of many cons. Well, it's not spacious, but it's not meant to be spacious. One thing that is quite annoying for me is that you have to pay extra for having rear doors. It comes with 3 doors, but if you want to get 2 additional doors in the back, then you have to pay extra. The next car I have is Opel Corsa Electric. It starts from 29,000 euro. It has a battery of 45 kilowatt hour. It has 100 kilowatt DC fast charging, 7.4 kilowatt AC charging. The rated range is 300 kilometers. The real-world winter range is 195 kilometers on the highway and 270 kilometers in the city. The real-world summer range is 250 kilometers on the highway and 410 kilometers in the city. The pros of this car: it has excellent DC charging speed and really good real-world range. It's easy to park. It has a 360-degree backup camera. It also has very good handling and steering ratio. Heat pump is a standard equipment in Corsa-e. Overall, it's a great city car that you can also use on the motorways. Now the cons. The rear seats are quite cramped in this car. It's also not a ground-up EV. It's based on the regular combustion engine Corsa, so they could not optimize the space. Therefore, it feels a bit cramped. Also, the boot space is not that great. The infotainment system is also really not good. It's laggy and it has a very poor software. It does not show battery percentage. It only has a battery percentage gauge, so it does not show you the percentage number. And finally, it has weak regen. It has a B mode, but the default mode is with very weak regenerative braking. Good to know about this car would be that it has Opel familiarity and it has conventional interiors and controls. So if you drove an Opel before, you will feel at home straight away. It has physical AC and volume controls. If you like physical controls, then you'll be happy with this car. Overall, it drives more like a conventional combustion engine car. This might be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you like. If you're transitioning from a combustion engine car and you don't want to have too many changes in the driving dynamics, then this might be a good car for you. Alright, next I have Peugeot E208. This is a beautifully designed car. It has the same drivetrain as Opel Corsa-e. Peugeot and Opel are now part of PSA Group and they are sharing components and drivetrains for many different cars. The E208 starts from 29,000 euro. It has a battery size of 45 kilowatt hour, just like the Corsa-e, and same DC fast charging speed, 100 kilowatt. AC charging 7.4 kilowatt. The range is a little bit more than Opel Corsa-e. It's 339 kilometer. The real world winter range on the highway is 195 kilometers. And in the city, it's 270 kilometers. The real world summer range on the highway is 255 kilometers. And the city summer range is 415 kilometers. The pros of E208. Just like the Opel Corsa-e, it has excellent DC fast charging speed. You can charge the car from 10% to 80% in 27 minutes. It has really good real-world range for the price. It is easy to park. It also comes with the 360-degree backup camera. Heat pump is a standard equipment as well here. Overall, it's a great city car, just like the Opel Corsa-e. So they're more or less the same cars. It's just the exterior design, how they look. Now the cons. The rear seats are cramped for E208 as well. And it is not a ground-up EV, so they could not optimize the space here as well. It uses the same infotainment system as in Opel Corsa-e. As with Opel Corsa-e, it does not show battery percentage and it has weak regenerative braking. Good to know about this car. It has a quirky steering wheel and interior design. The steering wheel is very small. It might block your view to the instrument cluster. So you will need to adjust your sitting position to see the instrument cluster clearly. It may or may not work for you depending on how tall you are and what driving position you like. E208 does not have physical controls and buttons for the climate control unit. This might be an advantage or disadvantage depending on what you like. And as with Corsa-e, it drives more like a conventional combustion engine car. Next, I have the Renault Zoe ZE50, the new Renault Zoe. There are cheaper versions available for this car, but I picked the ZE50 because it has a bigger battery size, and in my opinion, it is a better value for your money. The ZE50 starts from 31,000 euro. It has a battery of 52 kilowatt hour. The DC fast charging is disappointing, it's only 50 kilowatt. The AC charging speed is excellent on the other hand, it's 22 kilowatt. If you live in an area with lots of 22 kilowatt AC chargers, then it's a great car to have. For example, in Munich there are many 22 kilowatt public AC chargers on the streets. This means that when you are going for shopping, you can just park the car in one of these charging spots and plug them in. Let's say if you're shopping for 1 hour, then your car gets charged up to 50%. It has excellent range. It's 395 kilometers rated range. The real world range in the winter would be 220 kilometers on the highway and 310 kilometers in the city. The real world summer range would be 285 kilometers on the highway and 475 kilometers in the city. Now the pros of Renault Zoe Z.E. As I mentioned, the 22 kilowatt AC charging is a great benefit. It has excellent real world range for the price. It's a compact car, so it's very easy to park in the city. They also updated the infotainment system a lot, and the instrument cluster shows you the battery percentage and all the necessary information you would need very clearly. Heat pump is a standard equipment for this car as well. Now the cons. It has really bad DC charging speed. The previous Renault Zoe generation did not have DC charging. They added the DC charging in 2019, but they only added 50 kilowatt. And this is really disappointing because in 2019, it's not really the cutting edge charging speed. As you can see with Opel and Peugeot, they're going with 100 kilowatts. Another really annoying shortcoming of this car is that it does not have seat height adjustment. So if you don't feel comfortable with the height they have on the seats, bad luck for you. The top speed for this car is only 135 kilometers per hour, which might not be a problem for many countries, but in Germany it's a problem. If you want to safely overtake on the Autobahn, you need more. It does not have adaptive cruise control. It only has a standard cruise control. Another very important feature that every electric car should have is the ability to use your climate control when you are charging. Renault Zoe did not have this feature in the previous generation, and in the new generation they did not improve it. The mobile phone app for Renault Zoe is really not good. It does not work most of the time. Region is not adjustable as in other cars in Renault Zoe, although it has a brake mode, just like Opel Corsa-e and Peugeot E208. Alright, the next car, Citroen EC4. This is another car from the PSA group, so it uses the same drivetrain as the Corsa-e and Peugeot E208. Therefore, it has the same battery, 45 kilowatt hour battery, same DC fast charging speed of 100 kilowatt. AC charging is a bit better. It has 11 kilowatt AC charging. It has 350 kilometers of WLTP range. The real world range in the winter would be 175 kilometers on the highway and 250 kilometers in the city. The real world summer range would be 225 kilometers on the highway and 375 kilometers in the city. Pros of this car, just like its cousins, it has really good DC charging speed, really good real world range. It has really good space in contrast to its cousins. It's because it's classified as a crossover, so it has really good leg space and boot space. And as with the other PSA group cars, it comes with a heat pump as standard. Cons of this car, it's not a ground up EV again, but they managed to have good space for this car. It uses the same laggy infotainment system. The software is not good. It does not show battery percentage, and it has weak regenerative braking. Good to know about this car is that it drives like a conventional combustion engine car, so if you're transitioning, it's not too much of a change. Next, I have the Hyundai Kona electric 39 kilowatt hour. They have just recently refreshed the car. The exterior looks completely different than the previous generation. It starts from 34,800 euro. It has a relatively small battery of 39.2 kilowatt hour. But it's a very efficient car. The DC fast charging is a bit disappointing. It's 50 kilowatts. The bigger battery version of this car has faster DC charging, but it costs more than 35,000 euro. The AC charging in the new refreshed version is 11 kilowatts. The rated range is 305 kilometers. The real world winter range on the highway is 180 kilometers. And in the city it's 250 kilometers. The real world summer range on the highway is 230 kilometers, and in the city it's 385 kilometers. Pros of Kona Electric. It has excellent efficiency, it has really good range for the battery, it's compact yet spacious. It also falls in the category of crossovers. It shows battery percentage. The range gasometer is quite accurate. It has some great electric car features, like the app is quite good. It has camper mode, it has battery heater, it has a heat pump, and it has also adjustable regenerative braking. Now the cons. The only thing that I can think of is the slow DC charging speed. Otherwise, this is an excellent car. The last car I have is the Volkswagen ID.3. The ID.3 Pro trim starts from 34,995 euro in Germany. It has a battery of 58 kilowatt hour. The DC fast charging is 100 kilowatt. The AC charging is 11 kilowatt. The rated range is 420 kilometers. The real world winter range is 250 kilometers on the highway, 340 kilometers in the city. The real world summer range is 325 kilometers on the highway, 520 kilometers in the city. Pros of the car: it has excellent efficiency, excellent DC charging speed, excellent real world range. It's compact but very spacious inside. Effectively, the car has same dimensions as a Golf, but the interior space is as big as a Passat. It shows battery percentage. It has a very quiet interior. It has excellent headlights. Now the cons: it has weak regen. The infotainment system is laggy. The regen is not adjustable. It has only a brake mode. One very annoying problem with the pricing of this car is that options are very expensive. So even though the car starts under 35,000 euro, if you want to have a reasonably spec car, the price will jump up to 40,000 euro. For example, adding a backup camera requires upgrading to an expensive trim. This is not acceptable in 2021. Same with other common features, like if you want to have auto steer and heat pump, you have to upgrade to expensive trim levels. And those options cost extra on top of that. Good to know about this car. The Pro trim that starts under 35,000 euro does not have a heat pump, it does not have a backup camera, and it does not have auto steer. So it's a very basic car. As I mentioned, if you want to have all those things, then you have to pay more. Let's say 5,000 to 6,000 euro more. Alright, so let's recap. I have shown you 7 cars. All these 7 cars make pedestrian noise. So you can deduct the full incentive amount of 10,000 euro from these prices. The Fiat is a really good city car. It charges very fast. It has a good range. Opel, Peugeot and Citroen, they have the same drivetrain, so they charge at the same speed. To fast charge from 10 to 80%, it takes only 27 minutes for them. And all 3 of them have reasonably good range. Renault Zoe Z.E is a good car overall. The DC fast charging speed is not the best, but in the real world situations it will not have too much effect, to be honest with you. If you use the car in the city, it's perfectly fine. If you want to do long distance trips, let's say after every 200 kilometers you will have to charge for 40 minutes. On the other hand, if you have an Opel or a Peugeot or a Citroen, then you will have to fast charge, let's say 20 to 25 minutes. So you have to spend 15 minutes extra per charging stop. Hyundai Kona is an excellent electric car. If you can afford the bigger battery version, go for the bigger battery version, but 39 kilowatt hour car is still a good car. Just you have the same problem as the Renault Zoe fast charging problem. Volkswagen ID.3 is in a different league. It's the only car here with over 400 kilometer range, and to fast charge it from 10 to 80% you will need 33 minutes. To conclude, if you spend 16,000 to 25,000 euro now, you can get a good electric car in Germany. The prices and the incentives are similar in the other European countries. Which begs the question, is EV price parity already here? Probably not. We still need incentives to bring the prices down. but we are getting there. That's about it for today. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more EV related contents, please subscribe. See you in the next one.